Hey guys, Soulscape here, and welcome to my Prot Warrior Blitz solo queue guide. I'm only at 2700, not big yet. I feel like I won't be proud until I get into the 2900 range, closer to rank 1. I'm still pushing rank 1, by the way. Yeah, we're not done pushing yet, but I am playing at 3k MR, so I definitely feel like after 154 matches, I have a good understanding of how Prot Warrior feels and plays in the matches that you'll be in. But, disclaimer first and foremost. You're a tank. You are a tank. So you're going to have a lot of negative feedback when you're doing matches. The higher rating you go, it'll get worse and worse. Sometimes you'll go a few matches without it, and then sometimes it'll just be like 5 matches in a row where somebody's griefing you for playing as a tank. It's going to happen. I don't know why people feel that way. Tanks are normal in regular RBGs and 10v10s. 8v8's no different. You're a tank, you have certain jobs and roles that you fill depending on what class you're playing as a tank. But regardless, it's a fair fight. Your team is a tank and their team is a tank. It's not like you're uneven. If one side a DPS and one side a tank, then yeah, I get it. But I don't know why people get so toxic about it. I think tanks are fine. Play what you want, have fun. If people can't play correctly with a tank, that's on them. They need to get better. Not you, it's everyone else around you. Just go do what you want and enjoy the game. But back to it, Prot Warrior is, in my opinion, one of the best tanks, at least from my experience playing Blitz and seeing how other tanks play, because of their adaptability. They are probably one of the best tanks in adapting to different playstyles in Blitz when it comes to different maps. But the best part about Prot Warrior, the absolute best and why I love it the most, damage. People absolutely underestimate Prot Warrior damage. You see a Blood DK, a good one, or a Bear Tank, or a Brewmaster, or a Prot Paladin, you don't really get scared. And like most classes, especially hybrids, can fight back. But a Prot Warrior's damage is actually insane. Insane. Your executes people are underestimating your executes. If you can get somebody at 50%, pop your cooldowns into a demolishing shout, into a shield charge, roar, and you get a sudden death proc, they're dead. Sub 50? Oh yeah. 2 executes, 3 executes, they're down. 1.5 to 2 mil executes with cooldowns. I love it, man. People underestimate the damage you can do and the kind of pressure you can put out as Prot. And again, with all the protection you can do with your team, you are basically a glorified support class. You are better than an Augmentation Evoker. You are every single battleground you'll change. If you have a healer, if you're spinning, if you're going off cards on Silver Shard Mines, and that's what I want to talk about the most. Alright, so getting into it, let's just talk talents and builds off the rip, because you can learn to play from that. So for the 3 major spinners, you have Deepwind Gorge, Arathi Basin, and Battle Guilneas. Technically are the big spinners. I would say those 3. Those are big spinners. On those battlegrounds, Arathi Basin, Deepwind Gorge, and Battle Guilneas, technically speaking, also Silver Shard Mines, if you're going lava, you have one job. You sit there and you spin. You go mid and you spin. And that's it. If a DPS wants to rotate and help get mid, that's on them. I don't recommend it. I hope your team doesn't do that because it's risky. But regardless, people don't like tanks on those kind of maps because you're kind of useless. Well, not in a way you're not useless. You spin the mid and keep everybody off it. You want to distract most of your team as much as possible. And you just sit there and pray that the team gets the job done. So for spinning maps, I don't go Spear. I'll actually go to that and go down into Roar. The thing is, you're going to have a healer. So since you have a healer with you the whole time, you can get out of these survivability towns. You don't need that shit. You can get out of Alacrity. We can go double Bloodborne, get the extra DPS out, and they'll help out a lot better. I actually don't play Shockwave on a lot of solo spinning. So Arathi Basin, Deepwind Gorge, I don't play Shockwave. I only play Shockwave when I'm actually in the middle of a team fight fighting a bunch of other players. But when I spin, I kind of just do a talent build kind of like this. You do have a permanent healer with you, so you can sustain for quite a while. You don't need to go extra survivability. You can just go more pressure and go from there. That's if I'm spinning on AB and AB and Deepwind Gorge. It's kind of hard to memorize. Next battleground you have to go in because every single battleground you're doing a different build. Next battleground will be Silver Shard Mines. Now, Silver Shard Mines depends if you're on lava or off cards. Every team's different, so everyone kind of decides on one thing. But always ask first, where do you want me to go? Silver Shard Mines, or do you want to go off card? If you go off card, then that's where the fun begins. You are probably one of the best tanks to be on off card, because I love going water, knocking people off, zoning them, it's fantastic. So On off cart, you would do something like this. We're going to go down into Champion's Might so we can slow, zone, keep them off the cart. You will be by yourself most of the time with no heal, so we're going to get a Bloodborne, go back into Enduring Alacrity, and go back into Battle-Scarred Veteran. And this is the build for Silver Shard Mines on off carts. It's so good, especially for PvP talents. I do mostly maintain these 3 PvP talents: Dragon Charge, Morale Killer for your team, and having the lower cooldown for extra damage for yourself, and Thunderstruck. Infinite Roots! People sleep on this, and I'll keep talking about this talent further into the guide. But Infinite Roots, man, with Thunderstruck. So, amazing for Silver Shard, as well as Deep Hall Ravine. Same build you'll be using with Deep Hall Ravine, because you can either go solo, spin mid, regardless. Champion Spear, keep them off the cart, execute kills with it, as well as Thunderstruck to keep people off the minecart. You're so good at zoning, it's unbelievable once you get practice of it, not DRing yourself into oblivion. But Silver Shard and Deep Hall, this build right here. Next one. If you're on lava though, and here, again we're still on the Silver Shard. Again, I jumped a gun there. If you're on lava though, things change. You'll still say in the Champion Spear, but we're actually going to take out the endurance training because we will have a healer in the group, so we can go actually into Shockwave and Seismic Reverberation. So extra damage on your Thunderclaps and Thunder Strikes. So you'll go into Shockwave and Seismic Reverberation. Since we will be fighting with the group, if you do go lava, mostly lava card, we can obviously get rid of the survivability talents. Go into out of Enduring, go Bloodborne. Just for a little bit extra damage. You can honestly get out of Champion Spear, but I don't recommend it for that map. But just for the extra pressure, something like that, you can get out of that as well. Maybe go into Battering Ram or even into Bloodborns just for the deep wounds and Ren damage, which your Ren damage in AoE is pretty high. Something like this, if you're going lava. All right, all right, we're getting there. We'll get into the gameplay and actual gameplay and how you rotation wise. It's very intuitive. Very straightforward rotation-wise. Your burst is very minimal in terms of using a roar into a shield charge into another roar and keeping up your shield block for doing shield stamina. We'll get into that later. But the real thing about learning how to play prod is the builds you want to play with each battleground and being able to adapt to that. What's more specific we can get? Capture the flag. The next best builds you can do for playing prod is literally capture the flag. I think prod is the best tank for it, and here's why. You are amazing at reducing damage for your flag carrier. You don't want a flag carry. I never want a flag carry if I don't have to, but sometimes even at high MR, 2500, 2900 DK, there are some healers who are low CR, but they're very high MR, like in that range, who just don't want to FC. Even Mistweavers. Yes, there are many Mistweavers who just refuse to FC because they see a tank and like, oh, well, the tank has to FC. I want to... Yeah, that's the frustration I feel. Literally the frustration I feel when I'm experiencing that is Mistweavers who don't want to FC and capture the flag. But it happens, and sometimes you do. If you are not FCing, this is the build you kind of want to go for. Obviously, we're going to say champions to lock down if we have to. I'm going to get out of Shockwave because I'm not really team fighting that much, and you're not always going to have 3 targets to hit. So we're actually going to go in case you still have to pick up the flag in case your healer dies. So let's get out of damage, go into tankiness and Enduring Alacrity, Battle-Scarred Veteran, and you'll do something similar to this, but we're going to change up the PvP talents down here. We're going to stay Thunderstruck, but I actually leave Dragon Charge. Dragon Charge is almost kind of useless. We'll go Bodyguard instead. Probably go Bodyguard instead. It'll be the best one. And that talent is one of the coolest talents you'll ever have as a Prot Warrior. It's 40% reduced physical damage on your target, and it's permanent as long as you're next to them. Obviously, it's a very low cooldown, so if you do move more than, what is it again? If you move more further than 20 yards, if you move more than 20 yards apart, then obviously it'll cancel, but it's a low cooldown, so it's very easy to stay on your healer. So 40% reduced physical for your healer. Combine that with Morale Killer, so you have that really low cooldown, 30-second cooldown for Shout. So every 30 seconds, you can make sure your healer has about 70% reduced damage taken to them with combining both. If you want to get really crazy, because I've only done this a few times because I don't get capture the flag a lot, you can go into Safeguard. Safeguard as well. Intervene now has 2 charges, and the allies' damage taken is also reduced by 20%. So now you're looking at 60 plus 30, 90%. About averagely, because Shout reduces the damage to targets do to other targets. Almost 90% reduced damage on your healer if you want that. It's a really cool build to do, and you're very tanky, but again, like I said in the beginning, you're sleeping on the fact that Prot does insane damage. So if you're solo defending with a healer, you could still kill those targets very easily if they don't have a healer. If those targets don't have a healer, they're dead. You can absolutely annihilate them with your builds. Go into Avatar, start Thunder Striking, Execute, Sudden Death. They're dead. I guarantee it. It's so good. But other than that, if you are carrying, you don't really change the build up too much if you're carrying. If you know you're going to carry, you can leave Bodyguard behind, go into Thunderstruck, so you can root people so they can keep them off of you. And obviously go back into Dragon Charge so you can get back and pick up the flag. Dragon Charge is useless with the flag, by the way. Reduce speed. But this is the combination you still want to have whenever you have to carry. Next battleground to go over. Let's see. That was Capture the Flag, so Twin Peaks and Warsong Gulch. Basically, we can go over Battle of Guilneas. So, Battle of Guilneas, you never want to sit. Very rarely, there'll be some groups that get really toxic and they want you to sit in Battle of Guilneas. But you treat Battle of Guilneas as if it's lava on Silver Shard Mines. That means we go into Shockwave. We'll get out of some extra stamina talents here. We'll go into Shockwave, Seismic Reverberations, because you're just sitting there team fighting the whole time. You have a healer. We don't need Darling Alacrity. We don't need Battle Scarred Veteran, so we go into damage and AoE. And unlike the other builds when we're team fighting, this is not Silver Shard or Deep Hall Ravine. We can actually go into, take these out. We'll go down to the Thunderous Words for just AoE pressure. So, when I'm ever doing Battle of Guilneas, Shockwave, Seismic Reverberation, Roll Strikes, and we'll go down all the way to Thunderous Words and keep up that bleed pressure on a lava heap. And again, it's a little bit more talents you have to waste to get out of your armor to the teeth, but that's okay. And that's because you are just team fighting. You don't have to zone people with Champion Spear on that level of Battle of Guilneas, so we can just go into pure damage and just try to wail. We can get rid of obviously the defensive traits again, just for more damage. Alright, that's Battle of Guilneas. Next on the list would be the one everyone hates, Temple. Temple. You do pick up orbs in Temple. A lot. You want to, but your goal is to let them attack you. It's okay. You can take the damage. Tanks take extra damage. Yes, they do. But you can still eat it with your cooldowns just fine. My goal whenever I do Temple is I pick up the flag, I go mid in my corner, and I fight. I actually fight with it. I'm not opposed to it. Blow my cooldowns, I can still get some kills if executes. And honestly, if God forbid you don't have to carry, that's fine too. Because you can solo kill orb carriers in a heartbeat. And they can't exactly nuke you back because you're a tank. When I do that, we'll just play with Spear. I will play a similar build to Silver Shard Mines on Lava, or going off cart. Since you don't, in case you do have to carry, we'll take out the damage cooldowns and we'll go into this. And this is your build for Temple. Spear people with the orb, get a few sudden death procs, kill them. 2 mil crits, they're dead. Eye of Storm, you just play a similar build to going lava again. You are team fighting the center the whole time, but this time you're with a group, so kind of like Guilneas, except you will stay Champion Spear, and God for... Actually, no, you don't really need it, I lied. You can still play Champions with Eye of Storm, but I would honestly stick with this. But unlike Battle Guilneas, there is a flag, and worst comes to worst, you do get the flag, you have to hold it. So, again, that's why I'm saying you change your build almost every single time. If you do have to get the flag, you still want to stay into your defensive traits, Enduring Alacrity and Battle Scarred Veteran. So we'll do a build just like this. We went back into Endurance Trading to up my survivability, and this will be your build for Eye of Storm. You'll have the survivability, but you still have a little bit of pressure with Dragon Roar and Thunderous Words. All right, we're getting there. Wait, does that cover all the battlegrounds? I know we're missing one. I can get into gameplay a little bit. Definitely can get that, honestly. But yeah, guys, that concludes the builds for each battleground. So now that you know that, we can get more into rotation. People sleep on tanks, and obviously tanks have different roles. You have Blood DKs who zone, druids who are just really good at taking damage. I don't know, they're kind of really not good at being adapting. But again, I think Prot Warrior is one of the best at RBGs for a reason. You provide so much utility for your team. So the biggest part of utility is two things. Morale Killer, right down here. It's a PV talent. 30-second cooldown. Reduces the damage that the targets deal by 30%. So, but again, the best part about Prot Warrior is your damage. When you do your burst, and you want to get some kills, you avatar, you shout, you shield charge if you have it. I would do a roar here, and you start executing. And your executes are 1.2 mil starting out. But obviously, if you're running Juggernaut, that can stack up pretty quickly, and you're going to do some crazy executes. Someone will be dead already from that. 1.3, obviously, Juggernaut stacks are getting a little bit high, but your rotation when you open up and doing damage is pretty simple. Obviously, you have your defenses, but the big part people sleep on is your shield slams, and this will go into next patch because your 4 set and 2 set is regarded kind of flows around shield slam, but keep in mind, you're not doing extra damage with your shield slam unless you have shield block up. This is why it goes into my favorite talent that people don't like to use. I've seen a lot of builds, people don't use it. Bolster. So during Last Stand, you have shield block for the entire duration and 60-second reduced cooldown. So every 2 minutes, you have a 15-second long shield block, which I think is amazing. People don't use it that much. People tend to go into spell block sometimes or just go Bloodborne instead. Really take this out and just go into Bloodborne twice over instead of taking this, but this is so good, man. 15-second duration total that shield block, which means for 15 seconds I have to increase damage on shield slam. So very important talent I love to use personally from pushing. Definitely very useful, so I don't have to keep wasting rage on shield block every time that's off cooldown. So that way I can go full damage mode when I want to. So you change my talents here real fast. Go back into Thunderous Words. So very generic build I use outside of zoning maps. Zoning maps, obviously, again, you'll get Champion Spirit. We'll use this build right here. You chart. Obviously, this will be your burst when you go in. We're gonna pop Avatar, do a little clap, do a little shout, shield bash, Thunderous Words, pop that Last Stand, and just start shield bashing. Because during that duration, you have that very long shield block. So my shield slams are just doing consistently increased damage. And you can start doing your executes, and you'll probably kill a guy by then. But that's your burst, man. You just charge, shout, roar, shield bash, clap, and start shield slamming and executes. Just like that. Obviously, you'll want to hit clap off cooldown. Alright, going into gearing, stats, and priority. Haste over mastery is a generic way to go. You can do haste over mastery. I have a crit build and I have a mastery build. Lately, I've been testing out the crit build, and actually, you're going to probably, into next patch, or in 11.1, you'll want to go into more of haste over crit. Now, haste is, you have to have haste. Like, my base haste is about 15%. I would say at least get 15% haste. Trust me, it makes it feel so much better. If you don't go enough haste, you're going to get rage starved. But I think going into 11.1, you're going to want to focus on more of a haste over crit build. I actually do switch to my haste over mastery build when I'm carrying flags, or when I am carrying a flag. When I have to be tanky and I need to stay alive, I do a full tank build, and obviously with a flag carrier, I just storm, even spin map, because if you know you're not going to be killing people, you don't need to play crit. Unnecessary. But if you are going to be killing people and you are soloing a bit, you do plan on getting kills, then you go crit build. Haste over crit versus haste over master. If you know you're not going to be getting a lot of kills and you just want to spin, don't make extra work for your healer, go haste over master. But yeah, that's it, man. Good luck, guys. I hope you have fun playing Prot. Those are the builds, those are the talents for each battleground. I'll have some videos obviously for out. I hope you enjoyed, and good luck out there. I'm pushing rank 1. Root for me. Definitely watch me. I'll be streaming every single day. But we're almost there. Well, almost there. I need to reach 3K, man. Over 3K. It's so hard. The MR fluctuates so much, man. One day I'll queue and it'll be like 3K. Next day I'll queue, it'll be like 2,600. I just had a 2600 match today. I won, thankfully, but I had a 2600 MR match, and I was winning. The past 2 days, I was winning. Crazy. But it's difficult. But good luck, guys, out there. Don't be afraid to play a tank. Be a dick. If people call you an asshole, people hate you for it, shut them out, mute them. But you do need to ask at the beginning of every single match, what role do you play? Because, you know, if you're doing Silver Shard Mines, you're doing Capture the Flag, ask them. People sometimes have different play styles, and you want to be able to make your team feel comfortable. And I feel like that's the biggest thing about playing a tank in Blitz, is you got to make you got to make your team feel comfortable. Because if they don't feel comfortable, they're going to get pissed off, they're going to start raging, and it just spirals downhill there. So whenever you get into a match that requires a role differential, ask them, hey, you want me to go off cart? Do you want to go main cart? You want me to go mid to spin with a healer? You ask that, you don't have to. Capture the flag, ask who is, ask what healer wants to go mid so you can reconfirm that. What else is a crazy one? Eye to Storm, never want to sit solo, because if they have a rogue, druid, anybody, you never want to sit solo. Ever. So that's another one, big one too. Never sitting solo. Don't let people bully you into sitting. Don't do it. Very rarely can you solo sit. Very rarely. That means there's no druid. That means there's no rogue. That means there's no... That's about it. Mage. You never want to solo sit. You're not that kind of class. You're not a pet class. No one can solo sit if you're not a pet class. Or a paladin. Maybe. This is not going to happen. But yeah, good luck, guys. Have fun. And hope this guide was informative.